Hello all, and welcome back to my channel, Red Femme Diaries. So I've been trying to get out of my shell and kind of show my face a little bit more, but of course this entire video is basically a audio podcast that was invited on by a gentleman by the name of, I don't know if he wants to say his name, but I'll just say his first name, Julian, because that's on his podcast. So he actually invited me to join his podcast and talk about my cancer and my experience with this process of transitioning, essentially death and dying. And so he invited me on a while back, and this, you know how schedules are, it's very difficult to get together, but I finally did. So that's what you guys are about to see in just a few minutes. Just to shout out his podcast. It's called Enlighten Me by Julian, and you can find him on, make sure I get it right, Spotify, Apple, and Google. And he has a YouTube channel as well and website called Enlighten Me. So without further ado, here is our discussion. It's long. It's a little over an hour, but I think you'll find it's really good information. And as you guys know, I don't want to make my channel about my cancer at all, but I think it's very important. I am a person that's in the process of transitioning. So I think it's good that you guys get a little bit of insight on what that is like for me. Hold on one second. Okay, so sorry, excuse me. So anyway, you do these talks, and after you're done, I start thinking, oh my God, all these things I could have said. And, you know, I'm not going to say too much other than what I did say, but I will say this. This process is not easy, and I don't know if it's a fortunate thing or not fortunate to know about, you know, your soon demise well ahead of time, because this gets hard sometimes. Sometimes I'm tired of this, of having to put a strong face on all the time, and I see myself slowly declining, and you know, this is definitely not fun. But the good news is it is doable, and if I can go through this, I swear anybody can. You know, it's not easy, but my main thing now is I keep, to the best of my ability, my mind focused on Christ, focus on the things that I've been given to do, like my channel and my job and my family and husband and children. I just stay focused and I keep my mind stayed on these things. I keep in constant prayer. And one thing I do want to stress is prayer for me is not, oh, Father, Lord God, in the name of all heavens, and you know, all that kind of stuff. I literally talk to him. I think I did say this in the video, so I'm kind of repeating myself. But I just kind of talk to him just like I'm talking right now. And I used to think that was disrespectful, but it's the only way that I know to talk to my Lord, and it seems to be okay. I have to fight pretty much every demon and problem that I've ever had to deal with right now. You know, I mean, I have a time limit. You know, I gotta get it all under control. So this is quite a stressful process, but I always remember this scripture that he said that he would never leave me nor forsake me. And so I know that he's walking with me hand in hand this entire way. And so I really do rely on that. And then also the other thing that was asked, you know, the looking back, what would I have changed in life? I did sort of answer the question. You know, I'll be honest with you. It's kind of silly to say, but I'm being realistic. To go back, I would change almost everything that I did in life. Like, there's so many times where I think that, God, I really made a mess of this thing. But at the end of the day, it's not how you ran the race, it's how you end the race. And my prayers is that the way I end this race is that once my time does finally come, that I'll finally meet my Heavenly Father, my Maker, my Redeemer, my the person that saved me. I'll get to meet him face to face. And so even though I ran this race a mess, I might as well have had on 2 left shoes that were tied together the way I ran this race. But I'm here. I made it. I didn't end it myself. I've been there many times. I didn't. I'm still here. I'm still fighting on. And so that's all I can tell you guys. Just fight the good fight to the very end. You want to hear, good job, my good and faithful servant. And I don't know that I'll ever hear that, but as long as I make it in, I'm happy. So anyway, you're going to hear this. Let me shut up. I swear to God. Jeez. It's blasphemy. It's going to be a mess. Anyway, that's all I got to say. So please enjoy. Do you enjoy a video about death and dying and cancer? Not really, but enjoy it anyway. So anyway, please like this video. Please like the video. It's easy. Click the like button. Help us just out. Please like this video. Please share this video anywhere you can. If you know anyone that's going through this sick and things, share the video with them. They might get something out of it. And of course, please subscribe to my channel. Once I get to 5,000, is I'm gonna finally, Lord willing, if I'm able to get there, if I make it to my 5,000, I want to open up and I want to do live with you guys so I can start to meet you, some of my subscribers. I really want to get there, but you gotta hit that subscribe button, okay? Thank you guys, and we'll talk to you soon. Goodbye. I'm so stupid.
DJ, you are now in the mix with Julian.
This is your host, Julian on Enlighten Me. And before we start this podcast, I hope everyone's doing well. We have the co-host, Rocco. What's going on, Rocco?
What's going on? What's going on, man?
All right. If y'all can subscribe to the YouTube, Enlighten Me. You can check out the podcast on Apple, Google, and Spotify. Just search Enlighten Me. And if you want to reach out, enlightenmejulian@gmail.com. And today we got an interesting topic. It's probably one of the most profound podcasts I've done. How you doing, Nyla?
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm great, and thank you for joining me and Rocco on Enlighten Me, the co-host. Can you tell people a little about yourself, please?
Yes, my name is Nyla, and I have a YouTube channel. It's called redfemmediaries, and I started the channel because I wanted to kind of have an archive of videos of information for my two sons. I currently have a stage 4 breast cancer, and so I've been given a time to live. And so I wanted just to leave sort of a legacy for them so they can get some wisdom and knowledge about how to navigate this life.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's it's gonna be a very touchy podcast. So when did you, I guess, develop or find out that you had breast cancer?
I actually found out when I was 41 years old. Typically, women start having mammograms. Is a test that tries to detect cancer early. I missed my 48-year-old mammogram, and at 41, I felt. By the time I felt the lump, I was at stage 2. The interesting part about that is actually I'm a mammography tech. I've been a
Okay.
mammogram tech for 17 years, so I absolutely know better than. But I was so caught up and busy with life that I did not get my 40-year-old. They would have caught it a whole lot earlier.
And you said, what age do usually women go get their breast checked?
40 years old is the age that you're supposed to start getting your mammograms. I felt my lump at 41. Typically, by the time you feel a lump, it's spread quite a bit. So I was already at stage 2 when I felt it.
Okay. Rocco, were you about to say something?
No, I wanted her to continue to explain, about stage 4 breast cancer. You keep going.
No, I think 1 in 8 women develops breast cancer. Do you know anything about that, Isla?
Offhand, I do not have those stats offhand, but I do know over the years, the incidence of breast cancer have definitely increased, and we're now seeing a lot more younger women develop breast cancer. Breast cancer is similar to prostate cancer in men. It's a cancer that it typically, the chances of you getting it grow as you get older. And so we're seeing a
Yes.
lot more younger women. We're seeing a lot more aggressive cancers. That sounds right. I should know this, but I don't know offhand the chance of you getting it over a lifetime.
Yeah, I think it's like a case every 2 minutes that somebody discovers that they have breast cancer.
Something
So
like that.
I didn't know really cancer was this profound in our society. Granted, my father had cancer, and he had
Mine did
stage 4
too.
renal cancer. Yeah, stage 4 renal cancer. I don't think it's the same as prostate. Yeah, don't quote.
Well, they're all different.
Yeah,
It's all cancer, you know.
yeah, and that's a thing that I never thought I'd even experience in my life. So this is a thing that people should be getting checked up on.
Right. I'm sorry. You said your father had stage 4 renal cancer?
Correct.
Oh, okay. Yeah, my father had stage 4 lung cancer. He passed from that. I think at this point, everyone knows someone, whether in the family or a friend that's had or experienced cancer. I think everyone, it seems like everyone knows somebody,
Yes.
that's gone through this. Yeah.
Now, when you found out you had cancer, how did you take that? Of course, when you went to go get checked up, did you tell your
Oh boy.
family? Did you just just take a step back, some time to
Well,
yourself before you did anything?
because I'm a mammography tech, I know what it looks like. And when I got the exam done, my coworker did my mammogram. She screened because she knows that I'm going to know what it looks like. When I finally saw the screen, it was one of the worst cases of breast cancer that I've ever seen in my entire career. The cancer was all over my breast, and when diagnosis, they didn't tell me yet. I just saw the screen and I knew. Man, it's like getting punched in the gut. Like I was just in utter shock. And at the time, I still have two young sons. They're 11 and 9 now. So at the time, they were then 6 and 9 at the time when I first found this out. I may be a little bit off, because birthdays. And so I did what any crazy and insane person would do. I did. The shock of it was just too much. Right before the year before that, we made a move from California to Georgia, and we were just going through tons of stress, financial stress, marital stress, problems on the job. My husband lost his business when we moved here, and just so much stress. And once this hit, I not soon after started drinking because I just didn't want to think about it. I remember, I know that sounds insane, right? But
Not at all. Not at all.
Not
That's
at all.
not
People
understand.
cope with things in different manners, different ways. So I'm one not to judge. Yeah.
yeah,
And Rocco doesn't judge either.
I honestly I was not able to cope. It was just too much. For the most of my life, I lived for my children, and I remember I got the diagnosis. I hadn't told anybody yet, my husband, my family, anyone, and I was walking with my boys. At the time, we had a dog, and we were walking the dog, and they were playing on their scooters, riding with me as I walked the dog, and I just looked at them, and I said, "My God, I may not be able to see these boys become men." And I put
Mm.
everything into raising these boys, and I just lost, and I said, I can't deal with this, and so turned straight to drinking to numb it all. And so I did
Mm.
that for a while. And the cancer, I had surgery. I had what's called a mastectomy, where they removed the breast. And at that point, technically, I'm cancer free. Now, I made a choice that a lot of people do not understand. I chose not to have chemo or radiation, even though that was the suggested treatment for me.
Now, why did you choose not to?
Well, keep it as simple as possible. I watched my father die on chemo. It was a slow and quite miserable death. It took him about 15 months with his stage 4. I've had a friend of mine. Oh, I should say my father's cancer was inoperable. It was all over his lungs. They couldn't just take out a section of his lung. It was all over the place. Another friend of mine's son had a cardiac cancer. Well, obviously you can't remove the heart, so it also was inoperable, and he suffered. I've been doing this job for so many years, and what I came to find is that sometimes when you give a patient chemo, they survive the chemo and they live. Sometimes they take the chemo and they die. Sometimes patients don't take chemo and they die of their cancer. Sometimes they don't take chemo and they live. And after so many years of doing this, there's no rhyme or reason. When I looked at mine and how advanced it was, I knew mine was pretty aggressive and pretty serious. From what I understand about cancer, it was created from mustard gas, a gas they used back in as a weapon of war back in World War I. It's a poison, and what mustard gas does is it kills cells. Mustard
Yep.
gas kills cancer cells, but unfortunately, it doesn't discriminate. It kills all cells.
Mm.
So, if you can survive the chemo, which is very toxic and very poisonous. If you can survive it, then it'll kill your cancer cells, but you got to survive it. I've seen so many people that had the cancer so small. If they just removed the breast, they would have been just fine. And if I'd have caught it a little bit earlier, and if I removed my breast, I would have been just fine. Unfortunately, mine had gotten too far. So my decision was, I can suffer in the chemo. And they let me know the chemo was going to possibly extend my life some. That I had and how aggressive it was, it was only going to do but so much for me. So I made a
Yes.
decision: do I want to live my life, and see how far I can go without it, or do I go through a very horrific cancer treatment? And at the time, I didn't have the type of support that I would need, because you get very sick. The treatment that they were going to give me was called the Red Devil, and
Okay, that's different.
it well, just by the name of it, it kind of lets you know the kind of treatment that it is. And after watching my dad suffer so miserably, he died at 82 pounds, I believe it was. And we and it and that okay. Here's another example. Every time you think of cancer, you think of bald patients, right? Very sick and bald, and they just look terrible, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
If you see me, you never guess it. Cancer actually looks like me. I look very healthy. You can never guess. It's the chemo that makes people look like that.
Mm.
So it was just a personal choice that I made, because of the type of cancer that I had, that I wanted to, my last period of time, to not be suffering like that in front of my family. Not an easy decision, but a very thought and studied decision.
Now, I remember we talked briefly. You didn't tell them right away that
No,
this was
I
going
didn't.
on, right? I remember
I
we
waited
talked.
some time. Yes.
I'm sorry.
I waited some time. Yes, I did, because I had to sort through things in my own mind,
Of course.
before I could bring it to anybody.
Now, who did you tell exactly in this?
So at this point, all of my family knows.
Yes.
What ended up happening was, once I first had my first surgery removed, I was fine for actually about 2.5 years, almost 3 years. I did fine, no cancer. Then a small spot came back on the side where I had my surgery. And then I went in, they removed that spot. They left about 5 millimeters of a margin. We went back again, they removed the 5 millimeters. That was in last year. By November, I was stage 4. It just
Oh,
came and just, yeah,
wow.
it came back with a fury, right?
Full,
And by
full
this
force.
time, what's that?
Full force, but good.
Yeah, by this time I've been trying different homeopathic treatments. I was doing high dose of vitamin C. They said ivermectin was good for you. I was following Chris beat cancer. I got over my drinking problem. I was really trying to eat healthy. This was after that second mass, and I was really going heavy, trying my best. You know what I'm saying? Alkaline water, I mean everything that you turmeric. I was seeing a homeopathic doctor, everything, but still stage 4. And at that point, that's when the doctor said they still recommended chemo, but he didn't, because of how far it had gone. It was just to buy me a little bit more time.
Yes.
So it was take the chemo and get a bit more time, but it was not going to be very good time. Or he said that more than likely it's going to be about 3 to 6 months, possibly 9, and I was told that in November.
It was yeah, that's when you reached out to me in November, isn't that about right?
I believe so. I had met you before that. Oh, actually, yeah, I think it was around November.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
about
that's
that
right.
time.
Yeah, that's right.
And
That's right.
that was the first encounter we had, and I was like, okay. And you
Yeah,
reached out because you knew I wouldn't judge. Well, I didn't know you personally or anything like that.
yeah. I can't remember. I think there was a comment or something you may have made, and I was like in agreement, because I'm very hard. I think we were part of the same Facebook group. I can't remember, but yeah. Mhm.
And it's interesting you say that because my father, he was gonna go. He did do chemo, but my mother thought it'd be best for him to live the last couple months and the rest of his life as he wants to, like enjoying himself,
Right.
eating the foods he wants. Because it was really hard on him, really hard on him. Because as you said,
Yeah.
it breaks down the cells and things of that nature. And
Feels
he was just
everything.
tired. Yeah, he was just tired all the time, always just laying down. So she took him
Mhm.
off it, and I think they want to do some type of pill. I can't remember the pill, some type of
Mhm.
experimental pill. And
Mhm.
from there, didn't work. So we let him do what he wanted to do, enjoy a little bit, because he declined right after New Year's. He just
Mhm.
declined. And it was fast.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, I didn't even know
Right.
what was going on myself. So I
Right.
completely see this.
Is he still with you now, or?
No, he passed
Okay.
2018, January 29th. I was in another state, and luckily the
Okay.
Army moved me back to Virginia because the doctor was saying he only has like 6 months to live or something like that. He lived
Okay.
longer than that. I think he lived a year and 3 months after I was told, and I didn't know
Gotcha.
how to take it. And even the grief
Yeah.
after, I was grieving probably about 7 months later. I was like, why am I
Yeah.
grieving
Oh, yeah.
now? There's no time frame on my. I did a podcast on grief. There's no time frame on grief or anything like that.
Right. It's
So,
just
so
it's time. But my
yes.
condolences to you and your family.
Oh, well,
For you and
thank you,
your
thank you.
father. Yeah.
You know,
Mhm.
if I could tell anybody listening, cherish your loved ones. Everybody goes day in, day out
Mhm.
expecting them to be there until something
Oh
happens.
yeah. Yeah, it's for me personally, I've been the type of person I've always thought my entire life. I've always wondered about my existence. Like even as a little child, I would think, who created me? Why am I here? I would always think these deep and deep thoughts. Like even my journey to find God, what have you. It was like a deep search for me. I really wanted to know why I'm here and who created me. And yet I've always thought about my mortality. I always thought about heaven and hell and is it real? And all these different things I've studied and studied and studied. But when you're faced with your mortality, it's like there's no way to prepare for that. Like all of a sudden, my mortality became very real and is very different on this side than on your side. Because I see people now that are not in the process of transitioning. You guys are on this side, and I see myself almost like moving out of this side now. Like I sense
Mm.
it. It's a very strange feeling, and it's taking me a long time to come to terms with it.
And you said
They
how
yeah,
long? How long do they say project? They project, and they're
it was
saying how long
3, yeah,
projected.
3 to 6 months, possibly 9. It was the projection. But to be told that when you're 44 years old, you
Mm.
have a family, a husband, young children, I have a great job, and I've been this is the job that I've been wanting my whole life, and I started this YouTube channel now, and everything's actually going really great in my life, but it's kind of hanging over my head that this will end soon. It's not easy at all, but.
Quick question: is it too late for chemo right now?
Chemo's not going to do anything but give me possibly a little bit more time, but in my condition, the chemo's going to make me go down pretty quick.
Okay.
With
So
the nature
chemo
of my,
destroys your cells, and your body's
yeah,
trying to fight the cancer at the same time. So I can see that.
exactly. So
So
it
it's like
makes
a
it
handshake almost.
exactly. And so the reason why, just like I said, just from my observation, I mean, who am I? But I used to do biopsies, and we used to work very closely with breast cancer patients, and it seems like the ones that quote unquote survive the chemo, their cancer was not that advanced to begin with.
Okay.
They find with mammography they find cancer that starts out as small as grains of salt. They start out as microcalcifications in the breast, literally like grains of salt. And
That's wild.
with,
That's wild.
with it, as long as it stays within the ducts, they can cut that out. That person would be fine. But what's happened is they blast them with the red devil, and so what you're seeing are women that have survived chemo. The problem with
Mm.
my cancer is because I waited so late to detect it, it bursted through the ducts, went to the lymph nodes, and it already began the process of spreading.
Mm.
That was my issue. Most of the cancers that you find, cancer survivors, a lot of time, they're finding in the early stages. If you notice, we hear about the worst cancer, they say it's pancreatic cancer, right? once you get have you heard that before? Once you get that diagnosis of pancreatic cancer, that's one of the ones where you don't have much time. Have y'all heard that before about
I haven't
pancreatic?
heard it. I'm
No, you
literally
haven't.
very green in this topic.
Okay,
I'm just a student listening. I'm listening to you.
gotcha. Well, pancreatic cancer is one of those ones. It's not that it's worse than the rest. It's very hard to detect. By the
Mm,
time people detect, because there's no test for pancreatic cancer, you
Wow.
find out through symptoms. By the time a person starts to begin getting the symptoms of pancreatic cancer, it's way too late.
mm,
If chemo was the cure, how could you be too late? Because chemo's the cure, right? But it's
mm,
gone too far, and the chemo doesn't do anything. And those cancers, pancreatic in particular, die usually within months. And so the same with my father. His was gone it was gone so far past the chemo, it didn't do anything but just like I said, make him very sick. So he was able to fight off his body's trying to fight like you just said, it's trying to fight off cancer and it's trying to survive this chemo, this complete poison attack. A lot of people they compare it to like let's say you have termites in your house, like taking a burning your house down because you have termites. And that's
mm,
the what cancer is to our body. I mean, I
mm,
don't want to make this like a anti chemo. Not at all.
No,
I
no, no.
not at all. I think chemo has done some wonderful things. For
mm.
some people, I'm sure it's not anything that I was going to take given the stage that I was in.
So all right, I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna bring it back to what you said earlier. I had a question. So you said when you say you found a lump, right? You
Yes,
you you noticed a lump. You went to get that taken out, right?
yes, yes.
And I guess it came back, but it was small little. It was smaller, right? And you
It was
got that taken out.
smaller, and I got that chicken out.
Okay, and then you said 6 months later you wound up having stage 4 cancer, right?
About 6 months, it had already grown. Yes, yeah, you did very good, very good.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So my question was, up within that 6 months, you wasn't experiencing symptoms or anything like that to notice. You didn't notice nothing.
Yes, the side of my chest where I had the mastectomy where it came back, it started to get itchy. It said you
Mm,
can get itchy, but there's a lot of scar tissue, and I was told that over time, sometimes you might experience some itchiness because the scar tissue is growing, and so a lot. Like if you've ever had like like my skin keloids, so if you ever had those, it can get itchy, and so I would ask my patients that had mastectomies, I would say, hey, do you ever get any itchiness on that side? And they would say, yeah, sometimes. So I thought it was normal. And then it started to get tighter and tighter, the skin on that side. And so that's when I went in. And that quick is when they told me, oh, it had spread to other parts of my body. And when I tell you, bam, it just started moving like within like literally each week, I'm seeing a change
yeah.
in my condition. It's burst through my skin now, so I have like an open wound there. I'm now on what's called palliative care, where they try to just make me comfortable, but now they're talking about moving me to hospice now. Like it's very fast moving. And
Yeah.
hospice is the step right before it's basically the step before death. They're just trying to make
Oh,
you comfortable as possible. But
okay.
yet, if you see me, I look fine. It's just because I'm not on chemo. Yeah.
Yeah, I seen you. I sort of seen you on your YouTube channel when you told me which videos
Yes.
that you're actually in. Yeah,
Yes.
you look perfectly normal. You look fine, actually.
Right.
Um.
And so a lot of people don't, they weird to them. I'm like, you have to understand those are chemo patients that you see that look sick like that.
Yeah, yeah. Now I know the difference.
Yeah.
But it sounds like you was like misled. You thought that it was just the surgery of them taking it out. That's why you thought that was the itching was happening.
Yeah, I thought it was just the scar tissue because at this point I've had 3 surgeries on that side. So I just thought it was, the scar tissue irritating me or something like that at first. But then it just wouldn't stop, and then it started to become painful, and then that's when I was like, let me go in and get another PET scan to see what's happening here, and sure enough, it has spread. And like I said, literally like a couple of weeks after that, then I started feeling problems on the other side, and sure enough, a whole different cancer showed up on that side. And so yeah, it's just been really
We apologize, people. We had some technical difficulties, but we're back, and we're going to keep this going. So, Nyla, if you can talk about how you're feeling right now and all the emotions that are currently going through you.
Oh boy, I would tell you it's like the emotional roller coaster of your life. You go through these different stages, and I don't know if you guys learned about. It's called DABDA, the stages of death. Have you heard of that?
I'm not.
Okay, well, it's called DABDA. I learned about it in like psychology like many years ago, but for whatever reason, it's stuck in my head, and so it's like I can use it now. And so it's the 5 stages of, basically, it's the 5 stages of loss. And so the first D stands for denial.
Oh, so it's like grief. It's like the grief.
The stage of
Exactly.
grief, exactly. Sorry.
Okay.
So yes, the stage of grief. So the first one is denial. Davda. So the next one is A, anger. B, you go through bargaining. The next D is depression, and then you finally get to acceptance. Now you can go in and out and through all these different emotions. You can experience 2, 3, or 4 of them at the same time. And so what I'm learning to do now, I've reached acceptance, but I go back and forth to some of the other areas. But I try very hard to try to focus and stay balanced because I still have to carry on. I still have to work and keep moving and doing things. And so it's very easy to fall back into depression and alcoholism if I'm not careful. So what I found like helps me, working actually helps me because it gets my mind off of my condition. Uh,
Okay.
Not to say that I don't realize it, I try not to focus on it. Very difficult to do that when you're experiencing a lot of pain. The biggest emotion that tends to pop up that I have to kind of battle daily is fear. Um, I had a definite breakdown just today. You just get full of fear because like it's like you're still in shock. Like, oh my gosh, I'm going to die, and it's just it's almost like you get hit with it the same you did the very first day you're told. And so
Mm,
what I figured out, it's taken a couple of years to do this battle, is that I cannot stay in fear for very long. Because if you stay in there too long, it becomes like a stronghold over you. And then once you're stuck in fear, then anxiety, and at that point you can't function. So when I start to feel fear, I recognize it right away. And I go to that scripture that says God has not given us a spirit of fear. And so when I'm feeling excuse me, feeling fear, I have to tell myself this is not of God. Stop it. Stop being afraid. Um, Biggest help to me is I have a few very wonderful, wonderful people in my life, several that I can pick up the phone and I can talk to them.
mm.
And I don't talk to them about how afraid I am. Usually I talk about normal, regular life stuff. And as I'm talking, it takes my mind off of the fear. And then after I get kind of okay, then I start to talk to God. And I don't like the word prayer because prayer makes it sound like it's supposed to be so formal. I didn't realize I was talking to God for years, but it just wasn't formal, so I didn't think it was good enough. But I found that I can just talk to him kind of like how I'm talking to you right now. And I start talking to him about my fear and how afraid I am, and I seem to get told the same thing every time.
Now, how often does those occurrences happen? Is it daily,
Like
weekly, once a week?
breakdown. No, I'm just it just it might be like once a week. Sometimes a couple weeks might pass. Sometimes I feel it like, back to back to back. You know what I
Okay.
mean? But every time God, I guess what I hear, quote unquote, not audible or anything, but the message that's told to me to control my fear is the same every single time. And so I have to remember that. And the message is, um, it's another scripture. It's like he brings these scriptures to your remembrance, and he said, take my yoke upon you, because my yoke is light. And so I remember that. So the weight of cancer and dying, what's going to happen to my kids, all those things, I let it go and I put it on him and I live my life like as if I don't have cancer. Wake
And I
up.
can't even imagine. I can't even imagine any of this.
It I mean, but for me, it's become part of life now. So I go to work and I still cook and
Yes.
I run my channel and I don't stay down for too long because I know I've been down before and it's dark and it's ugly and it's not a fun place to visit.
If anything, to our listeners, and this will be on your YouTube channel,
Yeah.
what can you, what advice or what do you want people to pay attention to? Or if you could just give something to change somebody's perspective on life, what would you do or what would you tell them?
That's a big, broad, open question. So what would I tell people about life or what would I tell
Like, what impact
you
would you
can
want?
narrow it a little bit, yeah.
What impact would you want on somebody's like to take from what you're going through?
Well, I would just say this. I guess the best way to put it, um, before there's a couple things. I'm going to talk about gratitude, forgiveness, and serving. Before I got this cancer, I can't say I wasn't thankful at all, but it comes to a whole new level of gratitude. Um, literally every morning that I wake up and I get people always say that, but I really mean it. Like when I wake up, it means I've got another chance. I've got another day. So if I screwed up yesterday, I got another day. Uh, Thankful for everything because here's the thing. It's weird because people feel sorry for me when I tell them, that I have breast cancer, I'm dying. But it's like, why feel sorry for me? I'm going, supposedly, if you believe scripture, I'm going to a better place. This place that we're living is really bad, and I don't think we realize it because we live in it. But this world that we live in is so dark and it's so evil. And so I don't have I won't be here for that. You know what I mean? Um, there's so many ways that people's lives end. I have breast cancer, not so bad. I look for gratitude. Like I have health insurance, so I'm able to have palliative care. And so they give me pain medicine to help me with my pain. There's counselors. I've got wound care, and now I'm about to go on hospice soon. So there's people that are helping me walk step down. What about if I didn't have any insurance, right?
Yeah,
Like,
so you're looking at the brighter things and the things that are around you.
how could I not? I like literally, I live in a home. Like it's cold out. It's getting cold this weekend. In my house, we have heat. I don't have to worry about that. But there's people living out in the street in Atlanta, and they've got to figure out what they're going to do. I don't. I've got food to eat. Um, Now I've got a family. A lot of women nowadays they don't have that.
Yeah.
So there's so many things that I have to be thankful for. I can't count. Even my job. Some say I would stop working. Why? That's another thing. Serve, 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 serve. Like I make it a point with my job. I deal with lots of different patients, right?
Yes.
And they're women coming in to get their mammogram where their breast is pressed really hard and they do not like it. And so when they come in, they have some nasty attitude. But I make it's almost like a game. I make it to where I make sure that they leave with a smile on their face and that I made their day.
Now,
So
have
if I
you
did,
oh,
yes.
go ahead.
No, no, please.
Now, have you done anything since you have supposedly a certain time? And I'm gonna say supposedly because I feel like
Right. I don't,
the
that's
doctor
right. I
doesn't
just
know it
quote
all.
what he said. Exactly. That's what he
Yeah.
told me, but it could be longer, it could be shorter.
Yeah.
Who
Well,
knows?
we're
Right.
gonna say longer. But
Yes.
have you been fine tuning anything in your life or doing more the things that you wanted to accomplish or experience or anything like that of the nature?
So to speak, like my channel for me is really huge. All my life, well, not all my life, but since I've had my kids, I've always taught Sabbath school. So I've always had like a teaching spirit. And so my channel means the world to me because I believe that it's very hard to find truth nowadays because we're being lied to so much. There's so
Oh,
much
definitely.
delusion, deception all around us. It's almost hard to find truth. And so I do believe that my channel is kind of a beacon of truth. And so that's very important to me. Um, my relationship with my sons, like I enjoyed them before, but now I literally cherish every moment. You know what I'm saying? Like things that bothered me before, like, oh, I don't feel like making a snack or whatever. Like I make their grilled cheese sandwich. I kind of, just make it like the best grilled cheese sandwich I can
Finesse that
make.
thing. Yep, finesse
Yes.
that thing.
Thank you. Yes. So I literally do everything like that. I do everything just extra because when I look back in my life, okay, well, here's one thing. So you've heard people when they die and they look back on their life and they never say they would have worked, they wouldn't have wanted to work more. Oddly enough, I look back on my life, I just wish that whatever I did with excellence. I love the idea of that. There are so many things in my life that I didn't like fully participate in, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
Like when I went to college, a lot of the times I didn't really study. I just did whatever just to pass. I wish I would have dove in. You know what I'm saying? And took full advantage of the opportunity to go to school and learn instead of just, doing just enough to get by. I teach my sons this lesson. I got it from my grandmother. She always said this. She said, no matter what job you do it to the best of your ability.
That's right.
They say, she said, make yourself the best employee there. And a lot of people, I don't work for anybody. I don't like working for somebody. I say I work for God. And so I teach my sons that if you're given the task of cleaning the toilet, you make that toilet shine and you take pride in that. Because if you can't handle the little things in life, you're not going to be able to handle greatness. You know what I mean? So be
Yes.
humble in greatness, be humble when you're not there yet. And man, once I got that lesson, man, life is just beautiful to me because I take everything like that. I put my best foot, I try to. You know what I mean? I take a
Yes.
lot of pride, not just in my work, but my home, the meals I cook. And I wish I'd have learned that sooner because that's what's bringing me joy right now.
Taking pride in everything you do and
Taking
everything you have.
pride, just yeah, I'm working, but man, I have 20 patients a day, so I have an opportunity to make 20 people's day in a week. Times how many days I work in a week? Look how many lives I can touch. Sometimes by just a smile.
That's right.
I wish I would have embraced this earlier because it makes life so sweet.
And it's true. We live in a world right now is like happy pictures, sad people. So
Right.
that's good that
So
you're doing the
that's
part
what's
in that.
crazy. You have all these people presenting these fake lives, but what do you really do when no one's watching? You know what I mean?
Definitely. Definitely.
And so, yeah,
Rocco, you
sorry.
back? No, you're good. Rocco, you back now?
I mean, can you hear me?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
can hear you. Welcome
Okay.
back, brother.
Oh,
Yeah,
you're missing
finally.
out. We're here chopping it up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I hear you guys. I actually just got in, but I just still think it's crazy that once you got like that last bit of cancer out of you, and you thought you were going through like the healing process with the itching and stuff like that, but the whole time it was
Yeah,
the cancer coming back. That's really scary.
yeah.
That's really scary, and I think people should you know realize just because if you get the cancer taken out or whatever, like
Mhm.
just because you think you're healing, you probably should still get checked. Still get checked
Well,
because
absolutely. I think. Sorry.
yeah, yeah, no, go, yeah, because in your position, we see what happens. 6 months later, you come up with stage 4 cancer, and it's just very unfortunate.
Right. In that point, there was nothing really I could have done because it came up on the side where I had no breast anymore. So there wasn't a whole lot, you know, I mean, that could have been done or to find out in my particular case. But I think the big thing to remember is that even though they removed the actual lump of cancer, I still had what's called like the cells of cancer they're still traveling in my lymph nodes. You know what I mean?
So you
They're
can
Mhm.
still
never fully
floating throughout
remove
my
cancer
body.
then?
What's
Is
that?
that you can never fully remove cancer?
Now, mind you, I'm not a scientist. I don't know, but only
Well,
from this you can see
from
that
your understanding.
there's still cancer cells. Well, you have to understand everybody, all of us, even you guys have what's called free radicals that that float throughout your bloodstream. We've all heard of antioxidants, right?
Yep.
Those are the things that help to fight the free radicals. The free radicals are what turns these like pretty much the crazy cells that turn crazy and that can turn to cancer. We all have those floating throughout our bodies. That's why it's important to have a diet that's full of antioxidants, and you get that through organic, fruits and vegetables. You know what I mean? If you do eat meat, it's best not to, but clean meat. All the stuff that makes up a healthy diet. That's why it's important to have that to fight the free radicals, and also stress. Stress plays a major factor in developing cancer because what's happening is when you're like stressed out, you basically what you're doing is you're kind of depleting your immune system
Oh
because
yeah.
you're so stressed, you're so mentally drained, physically drained, all these different things. Your body has a hard time fighting off those free radicals. And at the time that I was diagnosed, I was under just tremendous stress. You know what I mean? Stress is the underlying cause of so many different diseases. We don't even realize, we don't understand how our mental health is directly related to our physical health. And
Oh
I'll
yes,
be
definitely.
honest and say that my mental health at that time was not good.
Well, I will say,
And, mhm.
I'm still in awe, and I'm thankful that you actually came and spoke upon something like this. And I know we've
Yes.
been going back and forth for I think like 2 months now, trying to line something up.
Yes.
So it's been a long time, but it needed to happen.
I'm so glad it did. It's great to talk about it and to get it out. There was one
Definitely.
other thing I did want to discuss, but I don't know if we're ending now.
Oh, go ahead.
I will try to make it quick. There was something that I had to do um, uh, just recently. I told you before that one of the things that helps me with in my cancer is to be around people that are loving and supportive. So there
Yes.
was something that I did that I wouldn't necessarily recommend to anyone, but I had to cut contact with three family members. And cutting contact with those three, that meant that I'm cutting contact with the ones that are connected with them. That was one of the hardest things ever had to do outside of trying to live with this cancer. But I would say this, the people that I had to cut contact with were just as toxic in my life as that cancer was.
Oh wow.
And I held on to those people because I felt, I always believe that you have to stick with family, and I'll believe that till the end. And when I tell you it was a life or death situation to cut contact, it absolutely was, because those relationships, unfortunately, were causing me a whole lot of pain. And when you're trying to fight, a disease like this, unfortunately, sometimes you have to let some people go. No matter how painful that is, you have to make a decision. So that was another aspect of this that I had to deal with.
Mm.
Yeah, very
And
tough
that's
decisions in life.
yeah, I see. And you're very strong. I can hear in your voice how strong you are, and
Very
and how
kind.
happy you are and at peace. You can definitely hear it.
Well, you're very kind.
Very welcome. Rocco, is there anything you'd like to say or any questions you have?
No, no, she's an inspirational spirit, man. Everything you say is positive. We just, like to keep the positivity up, and you
Absolutely.
know, yeah, and, we pray every day. I'm definitely praying for you.
Oh, thank you so much. That's what's awesome. I have so many different people that are praying for me. I mean, at the end of the day, yes, I have this, but I'm very blessed. I'm very thankful. The only thing is I never say that I'm happy though. I always say that I have joy because I do see it. I do take a little bit of a difference, but I am filled with joy.
Real quick, what is the difference to you?
No, for me, you know what I mean.
Yes.
Happiness reminds me of a certain situation. Like you can go to Disneyland and be happy. You
Okay,
win
what
the
you're saying.
lottery,
Yep.
you're happy. But
Yep.
joy, you can have that despite what situation or circumstance that you're in. It's something that's a little bit deeper than just happiness.
It's
Yeah,
very true. Yeah,
yeah.
happiness is the time frame at that being.
It's a certain thing that's going on, but you can have joy even at your worst moments in life.
That's right. Okay.
That's the joy of
Well,
the Lord. Mm.
I thank you. I thank you so much for coming and speaking upon this, and
Oh,
I hope
thank
Absolutely.
you.
this touches somebody.
Well, thank you for having me on. It honestly is my honor that you would even take time to listen to me. So thank you so much.
Of course, of course. And I try to tell people enlighten me is a broad aspect of different genres of subjects, and not just
Yeah.
dating or anything like this, grief, abuse, and now we have the most prominent one we had.
Exactly.
So,
She has a very impactful story that can reach out to a lot of people around the world. So
and
thank you.
somebody needed to hear this. So, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you guys.
All right. Thank you for joining Enlighten Me, y'all. And we're signing off. Y'all take care now.